Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new episode of Ask Huda. Until we receive your phone calls, as you will find the numbers inshallah displayed at the bottom of the screen. Ahmed says, if I only pray Taraweeh on the Laylatul Qadr, the night of the decree, then go to sleep, is it sufficient to gain the reward of 83 years of worship? Ahmed is referring to Surah Al-Qadr, where Allah Azza wa Jal tells us that worshipping Allah in the night of decree is better than 1,000 months. And this is equivalent to 83 years plus, give or take. And he says that if I pray Taraweeh alone, would that be sufficient? Of course it wouldn't be sufficient, because you only prayed a portion of the night. However, the Prophet told us, ﷺ, he who prays with the Imam until he concludes his night prayer, Allah would grant him the reward of praying the whole night, from Isha till the break of dawn. So if you pray Taraweeh with the Imam, usually the Imam in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, they postpone and delay a portion of night prayer, and they pray it like 2 o'clock a.m. or 3 o'clock a.m. If you prayed both shifts or both portions with the Imam until he prayed his witr, inshallah, you would have attained the reward of praying the whole night. But Laylatul Qadr is not only limited to night prayer. And that is why Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, said to the Prophet ﷺ, if I were to know what Laylatul Qadr is, what should I say? And he told her to say, Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Oh Allah, you are most forgiving and you love forgiveness and pardoning, so forgive my sins. So you should supplicate, you should recite the Quran, you should fill it up with all the good deeds in addition to night prayer. A brother asks, I think it's Asif Khan, Sheikh, I have a question. Can I change date on my marriage certificate to submit in office to get some benefits from the government, or can I make a fake certificate, or can I do nikah again? Please, Sheikh, reply to me, it's urgent. The answer is no. Changing the date on your marriage certificate would be cheating and a lie, regardless of the reason. And most likely you want to submit it so you can get back pay probably, or something like that. This, or to be admitted to a new law where you can get more money. This is not permissible, it is cheating. Aisha says, I'd like to ask which is worse, not memorizing the Quran at all for the fear of forgetting it, or memorizing it and forgetting it. No, the answer is the first. It is far worse not to memorize the Quran than memorizing it and forgetting it, because forgetfulness is a natural thing. It's a human thing. So Allah Azza wa Jal would not hold you accountable if you forget. And that is why at the end of Surah Al-Baqarah chapter 2, Allah says, رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. Do not burden us, O Lord, if we forget or make a mistake. So, if you forget, this is human nature. You try your level best. But even if you memorize the Quran, you forget most of it. You're not sinful for that. What you're sinful for is not applying the Quran in your life. So even if you memorize the verse or don't memorize the verse, if you deal in riba, in interest, you're cursed by the Quran. So regardless whether you memorize it or not, you are cursed. But if you apply all what is in the Quran in your life and implement it, even if you don't memorize one single ayah, or you memorize the whole Quran and forgot it, you are not sinful, not the single bit. Aaron says that he's a university, or she's a university student, and he's a university student, and there are still 2 to 3 years at least until he graduates. And he asked his parents to permit him to get married, and they do not pay any attention. This is the norm, because usually parents want their children to be independent and then get married. He says, but it is hard to show patience against temptation. I need your advice. My advice is divided into two sections. The first one is for you. I advise you, as long as you are unable to get married, either due to financial reasons and constraints, or due to any other reason, I advise you to follow the instruction of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says, "O young people," and he's addressing the youth, "whoever is capable of getting married, he should do so. But whoever does not have the ability to get married, then he should fast, because this would restrain his gaze from looking left, right, and center, and it would curb his desire for sex." So you should follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and his instruction, and try your level best to fast every alternate day, and this inshallah would help you a lot. My second advice is to the parents. They should fear Allah Azza wa Jal. They should fear Allah Azza wa Jal, because as you care for your child, you feed him, you nourish him, you give him water, you clothe him, you take care of him, and you buy him a car, getting him married is far more important. And another mouth in the house would not cost you a lot, but it would save your son. How would you feel if your son commits fornication and he is indulging himself with illegitimate sexual acts and relationships? Would you feel that this is normal? Are you getting your son closer to hellfire or to paradise? So I advise you to reconsider, and if your son is wise and mature enough, you should get him married with what you have of money. Muhammad from Saudi.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I have got 3 questions.
Okay.
The first question is regarding zakah. If suppose if I am giving zakah to someone in my relation, he is in dire need of money, I think that he is fit for receiving the zakah. So when I give him the zakah, I am not informing him that this money is from zakah. So the recipient, when he takes the zakah, he said he don't know that he is getting the zakah. So he said he will refund it inshallah whenever he gets the money. So I told him that no need for this, don't think of this thing. Just take the money and utilize it as you are in need. So he said, inshallah, whenever I get the money, I will return. So my niya is giving zakah and his niya is taking loan. So what we should consider it as a zakah or a loan?
Second question.
The second question is, this is a separate, different person. I kept some money with him for some other purpose. I thought in this Ramadan I will give zakah from that money. So when I asked him to use this money for zakah, so he said that I was in need, so I have utilized your money.
He used it.
Before giving that money, I was not thinking that this is for zakah. But now my intention, if I change the intention that when he has used already the money, so I can change my intention to zakah for that also or not?
Okay, second question. Third question.
The third question is, suppose if some fight between husband and wife, and husband just think of divorce, but he has not uttered anything. So this is count as divorce or not?
Okay, I will answer the questions, inshallah.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome. The second caller from? Alaykum salam, Jalal. How are you?
Jalal. I just asked Huda, no? I'm holding the line.
Yes. What can I do for
yes.
you?
Yes. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa
I want Jalal from Interview Emirates. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam. Ramadan Mubarak to you. Please turn down your TV and listen to me from the phone.
Okay. See down now. I have a question. I worked in a company in Interview Emirates for a salary of 3,000. At the same time, I had a business. I was doing the business side by. I was earning more than 15,000 per month. But as per the law of this country, I am not supposed to do business separately without company's knowledge. But this I was doing successfully. MashaAllah, I was getting good money in 1 year time. suddenly I lost the job, I lost my business. I am in the climate for 3 years now. I don't know whether I did this business as haram for me. It's not valid, lawful for me in Islam. And what is the problem we had, I don't know. Now 3 years now, I don't have any income, no money, no salary. Now my passport is in jail. I am feeling so much of trouble. I'm still now studying astaghfirullah to Allah, and my family is here. We are studying so hard. Can you get me the reason how to come out of this problem?
Okay, what was your job? What was your business?
Second thing, my business was I was hiring the transport and giving to my own company. I was taking one fills per trip as a commission for me, and I was selling sand, filling the grounds, and selling water, drinking water to the camps. This is privately with the Pakistani Pathans. I was doing separately in the outside market. MashaAllah, I was getting good money, more than 15 to 20,000 dirhams per month I was earning this. But my salary in the company was only 2,500.
Okay.
Within 1 year time, I lost my job. I don't know what reason is this, what happened behind this. But many say when I went and approached them with and without asking about cost, they told that somebody do black magic for me.
Okay, what is your second? What's your second question?
How to come out of this shit.
What is your second question, Jalal? Your second question.
Second question is, when I'm going to the mosque to pray, I'm seeing our Muslim brothers are keeping Quran on the ground and reading Quran. It is permissible to Quran on the ground, and when they're sitting in the mosque, they are setting their legs towards the Kaaba, Qibla, and sitting. I cannot speak Arabic fluently. I cannot tell them this. Is it permissible to sit in masjid, but sitting the legs towards the Qibla like this? I don't know. I feel inside my heart that it's wrong, but I'm not able to tell them.
Okay.
This advice I want from you.
I will answer your question, inshallah.
Two questions.
Yeah, you're okay. Saleh from Dubai.
Yeah, I'm still online.
Yes, Saleh. What can I do for you?
Assalamu alaikum, Ya Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa
Ya Sheikh, I have two questions, and both of them regarding insurance.
Okay.
I just want to know, I'm sorry, not both of them regarding insurance. One, it's regarding Islamic loans. If you take Islamic loans in Islamic banks, is it permissible? Because I hear so many comments from different people, and I'm not quite sure about it.
Okay.
And another thing is Islamic insurance. It's either for hospital or commercial. Are they permissible, or they're just all under insurance? Under insurance, normal insurance.
Okay, I'll answer your questions, inshallah. Saeed from Saudi. Saeed from Saudi.
Yes.
Your question, akhi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
First of all, Ramadan Kareem, I appreciate your...
Jazakallah khair.
Sheikh, I have one strange question.
Okay.
You know, a lot of Muslims follow black magic, hasad and jealousy. How to protect this from this jealousy and black magic and so many evil things? Still they prefer to be very good Muslims in Ramadan. But again, in their hearts and minds, there is so much of hatred. Maybe we just want to protect all Muslims, not only one family, but complete community. How to get rid of these bad people?
Okay.
I just want your answer and dua so that everyone is protected from this.
Inshallah, I'll answer your question. Khadija from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I have a question.
Okay.
Sometime back I had made an intention that I would distribute a particular number of sandwiches, alhamdulillah, because I had a very good increment at school. Now what has happened is that got delayed, and now when I'm sending across my zakats to India, I get to know about some people who are in extremely high need of money. Is it allowed for me to convert this amount of sandwiches, which is coming around 150 riyals, to the rupees of India and give it to those people, or I'll have to complete my intention of distributing the sandwiches only?
Sandwiches, you allocated money to buy sandwiches, food, and distribute it?
Yeah, I decided to buy food and distribute it among people here. Yes.
Okay, your decision was a vow or just something you thought of?
No, I thought because I got, alhamdulillah, I got this increment, okay fine, I'm going to distribute about 50 sandwiches around people nearby, that's all.
But no vows, it's just an intention.
Yeah, I just thought, oh Allah, because I've got this, alhamdulillah, I'm going to just distribute these sandwiches, that's
Okay,
it.
I will answer your question inshallah. Wuzak. Ahmed? Okay, I think we lost Ahmed. Okay. Shall we answer? Okay, Muhammad from Saudi had a number of questions. First of all, he says in the scenario where I give someone zakat and not telling him, because I know he's definitely poor. But the person, when I give him the zakat, the money, he says, okay, this is a loan, I will give it back to you. So what is the ruling on that? You should tell him that this is a gift. If you are hesitant of telling him that this is zakat, tell him this is a gift and I'm not going to take it back. After you get rich, you may do with it whatever you want. It's a gift from me to you. But you cannot take the zakat back again because it has to be owned by the recipient. And he says, his second question, if I gave someone a deposit, some money to keep, whether it's a loan or anything else, most likely it is a deposit. And after a year, when I wanted to pay the zakat, I spoke to the man and told him, listen, the 1,000 euros you have, please give 2.5% of it to zakat. And the man said to me, I was in so much need of the money, I consumed it and I used it for medication or for this because I was poor. So he says, can I change my intention now and make this as zakat? And the answer is no. Because this is a man deposited with someone else and you are now hopeless of getting it back. So instead of taking another 1,000 euros and giving it in zakat, you said, okay, this one cancels this one and the 1,000 euro is in your pocket. This is not permissible. And he's asking about if a man thinks of divorcing his wife. They had a fight and he thought in his mind, you're divorced, I'm going to divorce you, I'm going to do this and that. This has no value at all as long as he did not utter it and say it. Jalal from Dubai says that he has a problem with his income and he had a good job and he had another income from business and now all of a sudden all has gone, and with the credit crunch everybody is suffering and he's suffering. So some people told him that this might be black magic, some told him that this might be an evil eye. So what is the reason? I would say, I don't know. 1,000 reasons can be other than black magic and sorcery and an evil eye. It can be that you're not working as hard. It can be that the need for your business is gone now. Instead of buying it from individual, they buy it from corporates. It can be because you did not develop your business. Others developed theirs and they took the lead and no one is interested in your product anymore. It can, the sky is the limit. So what I would suggest is that you analyze professionally what has gone wrong and where are the things that you're not doing right, and to list them down. And in addition to that, there is no harm, none whatsoever, in you making ruqyah for yourself by bringing Zamzam water and reciting Surah Al-Fatiha 3 times, Ayat Al-Kursi 3 times, the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah chapter 2 3 times, the last 3 chapters of the Quran, Qul Huwallahu Ahad, Qul Al-Falaq, Qul Rabbun Nas, 3 times. And with each time you blow on that Zamzam water or any other water, and drink a lot of it in the morning, in the afternoon, before you go to bed. Wash yourself if you want to shower with it, and inshallah Allah would cure you of anything that you are suffering from, if there is anything you're suffering from. But most likely, as I told you, we always tend to blame evil eye, black magic, envy, jinn, to our own personal failures, and this should not be the case. He's asking about the ruling on some Arabs sitting and extending their feet towards the Qibla while sitting in the masjid. So if this is the Qibla, I just stretch my feet to the direction of the Qibla. He says, and I feel this is wrong. Well, what we feel is not necessarily right or wrong. It depends on the Quran and the Sunnah. And in the Sunnah, the only thing that the Prophet ﷺ told us not to do is not to spit while we are in prayer in the direction of the Qibla, because you're facing Allah Azza wa Jal. And the second thing is not to urinate or defecate in the direction of the Qibla. Other than that, the Prophet had never indicated that lying in any direction or stretching your legs in any direction is not permissible. However, if you think and believe that the people in the masjid would be offended by that, it's best for you not to do it. Salih had two questions about Islamic loans from Islamic banks. He's from Dubai. And unfortunately, a lot of the people ask about this, and we always tell them, Islamic banks do not lend money. Because lending money with money plus interest is riba, is usury. And this is totally prohibited, and it's one of the 7 major sins of Islam. What the Islamic banks do, they either do tawarruq or murabaha or different transactions that are Islamically based. So in the case of tawarruq, they would probably sell you something they must own before selling it to you. And this thing is for you to take and to sell it elsewhere on the open market, and you would get definitely a lesser price for it because it's a second hand, and you would pay the difference over installments. So this is permissible. But there are so many things that they take the origin as Islamic, and then, as they say, the devil is in the details. They try to manipulate. So they go to the sheikh and he signs a fatwa, or a committee, and they sign a fatwa saying that this is halal. If I have tons of iron, of steel, and someone comes and buys 100 ton of steel for XYZ, and I add a percentage over that, and I give him the option to pay it on over 2 years. This is halal. So what they do is they show this fatwa to anyone who comes. Not all of them, of course. There are banks that have committees, Islamic committees, that's auditing their transactions. But the majority of these Islamic banks, they just take the fatwa and then they do whatever they wish, and whoever talks to them, they show him the fatwa. But they don't have a department that audits all the transactions and says, no, this is wrong, this is right. So these so-called Islamic banks, most of them, or a great portion of them, they would take the fatwa and they would buy these, they would not buy the steel products, and they would just have an agreement with a steel factory or a steel vendor. And they, whenever someone comes to them and they say, yes, we will give you 100 tons, the price is so and so, you agree, okay, sign the papers, and they get the commitments and they get the guarantees. Then they talk to that vendor and tell them, okay, we would like to buy from you 100 tons, and XYZ would come and receive it on our behalf. And you would go and then you would receive it. This is not permissible because they sold you something they did not own. Now what's even worse is that you only go to the bank and they tell you, we will sell you 100 tons of steel, and after you buy it, you authorize us to sell it on your behalf, and you sign all the paperwork. In half an hour you find the money in your bank account. You did not see the steel yourself, you did not acquire it, you did not see the one who purchased it, and it's gone. All what you have is the money. This is organized tawarruq, as they call it, and this is totally prohibited and haram, and the majority of the banks are using this. So this was in short. Muhammad from Saudi.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, Shaykh?
I am fine, jazakallah khair.
Shaykh, I have 3 questions.
Okay.
The first question is, I see many women on various channels doing live shows in Ramadan with makeup. They keep licking their lips. Does this break their fast as they are talking in a part of their lipstick?
Sorry, asking about their makeup, or about mixing, or about the makeup?
No, I'm asking about, they keep on licking their lipstick.
Licking their
lips.
lips.
Break their fast?
Okay.
Okay. And the second question is, also the hijab of most of the hostess on Saudi too begins from almost 5 to 6 inches after the hairline. Is this hijab correct? And the third question is, what are the correct etiquettes of visiting the Rawda? There are many men I see trying to peep into the Golden Gate. What are they trying to see?
Okay. I will answer your question, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazak. We have Dina from Dubai. Dina?
Yeah.
Yes, what's your question, sister?
Yes, Dina. Yes, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, Sheikh. I'm really fond of Huda channel. 5 years I'm just watching the Huda channel. This is the first time I'm speaking to you.
Alhamdulillah. Turn down your volume of the TV, please.
I'm nervous, happy to talk to you. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. And I'm from Dubai. I'm 35 years. I'm in Dubai, sir.
Okay.
And I had a problem because I had a cancer. I was working. I had a cancer.
Okay.
And I lost my job and all these things because I had some problem in a bank, sir. I just want to know whether, because I have taken some money to the bank around, I have to pay some 35,000. So I have taken 20,000 to them. Some charity has helped me, and they have refused to take that money.
Okay.
So they asked me to pay all the money in once. So I just convinced them, I talked to them, I said I can't pay all the money together, and first you take this money, then inshallah I will try to get my job back, then I'll just try to give the money. So they didn't listen to me, they refused to take. So this has come to a big problem now, sir. And can you please tell me what I have to do for this? And even I would like to take some charities if anybody is given to finish my problem, because 9 years I didn't see my mother.
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Okay. Fawziya from Dubai.
From Abu Dhabi.
Yes, from Abu Dhabi. Yes, Fawziya, what can I do for you?
Chef, I have a question.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank you very much for answering our questions. We appreciate what you're doing. And my question is, usually when somebody dies, I go for condolence and I see that 3 days we have condolence. They invite people to come and give muhadra. Is this right, or it's something that is innovated?
Okay.
I'd like to know this.
Inshallah. I will answer your question, inshallah. Ahmed from Oman. Ahmed from Oman.
Naam.
Yes, Ahmed, what's your question?
Yeah, can I do hijama in Ramadan? Is it okay to do that?
Can you what?
Hijama?
Can you do cupping, hijama?
Naam, in Ramadan.
Okay, I'll answer your question. Okay, Saleh's second question from Dubai was on insurance, Islamic insurance, whether it is permissible for medical insurance or for business insurance. And it's an issue of dispute. Hypothetically speaking, if we have 100% Islamic insurance, is permissible. And the way this takes place is that you have a portfolio, a wallet, something where you put all the money of those who are insuring, and whenever someone has a real and legitimate need, we give him from this wallet until the money runs out. And if the money runs out after 2 or 3 months from the beginning of the year, and someone else comes and wants his money, we tell him, sorry, we're out of money. I do not go and borrow for you, because we collaborated, we are cooperating on benefiting one another by paying 1,000 dirham a year. So if the 1,000 dirham, along with the contribution of everybody else, was over, it simply ran out in 5, 6, 7 months, I do not have the right to say, but I paid 1,000 dirhams and I have still 5 months to the end of the year. You have to give me money. No, this is not commercial insurance. This is cooperative insurance. So if this exists, yes, this is halal. what's happening nowadays, most of it is not halal, and I believe that you should not have this at all. Saeed from Saudi, he says, a strange question. How do we protect ourselves from evil eye, jinn, black magic, and envy? Well, the answer is prevention is better than cure. So the Prophet has instructed us, alayhi salam, to say things in the evening and in the morning. And these adhkar, and you'll find most of them in Husn al-Muslim, the fortress of the Muslim, which is usually orange, and it's a very concise and up to the point booklet. And you will find what to say in the morning and the evening. So if you say this while believing it, if you recite Ayat al-Kursi and the adhkar after the salah, you are fully protected. You have nothing to fear with the grace of Allah Azza wa Jal. His second question was not clear about how to purify the hearts after Ramadan. This needs a lecture. Alhamdulillah, as long as the hearts are a little bit cleaner and better in Ramadan, we should hope for the best, and we should think positive, hoping that it would maintain to stay like that in after Ramadan. Khadija from Saudi Arabia, she had the intention of distributing 50 sandwiches a day to the poor in her locality, which is a very good notion. And like Sufyan al-Thawri used to say, Ramadan is feeding the food and reciting the Quran. He means that these are the two prominent things that happen in Ramadan. And unfortunately, our neighbors, next door neighbors, are starving to death, and we are having like 8 or 10 courses, and we're stuffed with food to the extent that we are unable to pray Taraweeh. And this is wrong. So she has a noble idea, and she thought of doing that, which is good. Now, the problem is that when she contacted her hometown, they told her that there are so many people who are in dire need. So she thought that, okay, can I change the money that I'm paying for the 50 sandwiches? Can I pay them cash to these people who are in need? The answer is yes, because you did not vow, you did not promise Allah. This was an intention. You can go back on your intention anytime you want. Muhammad from Saudi Arabia says that he noticed that the TV presenters, the female TV presenters on TV, wear tons of makeup and they beautify themselves, and they seem to lick the lipstick on their lips. First of all, Muhammad, you're not allowed to watch these, akhi. What are you doing? You're fasting. You're young, yes, but you have to train yourself to lower your gaze. You cannot look at women and to the smallest details as such. Nevertheless, you should be careful. To answer your question is, if someone licks his or her lip and there is a mass that is swallowed, so if the lipstick has a mass and someone swallows this breaks his fast, because he swallowed something which he's not supposed to do while fasting. And I doubt if they would be fasting to begin with, looking what they're looking and coming, exposing their charm and beauty and mixing with men during the daytime of Ramadan and saying false things most likely and lying. I have my doubts, but let's presume and think positive that they're fasting. May Allah guide them and get them back to the loop of Islam, to be practicing Muslims. The second question was about these Muslim, also female presenters who come on Muslim channels, and like 4 or 5 fingers of her hair is exposing, and they're wearing their tarha and to the back of their... Akhi, these people have nothing to do with practicing Islam. Do you think that what they're wearing on their head is a head cover? This is only simply tradition, customs. If it were to them, they would take the whole thing off and be like the presenters in question number 1. They're wearing tons of makeup, they're wearing lipsticks, eyeliners, everything in the book. Because this is what shaitan is using them for. These people, as you see them with the abaya and with the headscarf that exposes most of their hair, look at them when they board the plane, traveling out of the kingdom. The minute they set foot on the plane and they close the doors of the plane, they go to the bathroom, and all of a sudden they're transformed from hijabi women into westernized women wearing tight jeans and their hair is all exposed, they're wearing t-shirts, or subhanallah, they do not look to be Muslim. So pray for them, may Allah Azza wa Jal guide them back, and pray for those who are in charge of these TV channels, because each and everyone working in such TV channels is sinful. He is cooperating on misguiding the Muslims by portraying such women, by giving false information. So I believe the only people who are getting in halal income are those who are working in Huda, inshallah. And by the way, I do not get any income from Huda, none whatsoever, not a single penny. But those who work in Huda, inshallah, they're working in an Islamic channel and they're working in halal things. But these people who are collaborating on misguiding the Muslims and portraying this to be Islam, this isn't Islam. This has nothing to relate to Islam. Islam, we take it from the scholars. We take it straight from the Quran and Sunnah. And these people go against the Quran and Sunnah. He is asking about the etiquette of visiting the Rawdah. And there isn't such an etiquette. Rawdah is just a part of the masjid. It was highlighted by the Prophet ﷺ when he said that between my house and my mimbar, my pulpit, is a garden of Jannah. Meaning because of the people who sit there and anticipate for prayer and make dhikr and recite the Quran and attend sessions of knowledge. But the area itself has no significance in my knowledge. That is more than others. So praying 2 rak'ahs to the right of it is less in reward than praying 2 rak'ahs in it? No, there is nothing to my knowledge about this. Hashim from Saudi. Wa alaikum salam. Turn down your TV set, please.
Yes, I have turned it down.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I want to ask if I am going on a travel and the Eid prayer comes and there is no one to pray the Eid prayers, or if I am in a country where there are no Muslims except my family, my wife, and how we do the Eid prayer, what should we do?
Okay, I will answer inshallah. And Muhammad from Saudi? I think we lost Muhammad. Okay, Dina says that she is 35 years old and she has financial problems. Unfortunately, Huda itself is suffering from financial problems. Well, I think you're talking to the wrong channel. You should, as long as you've gathered 20,000 dirhams and the balance is 15,000 left, I think the people of Emirates are, mashallah, generous, and they, if you ask them, they will contribute and give you from their zakat money. Fawzia from Dubai says that we've noticed that a lot of the people, when we go to give our condolences, they introduce or ask a lecturer to come and give a lecture. So is this part of the sunnah? The answer is no. It is not part of the sunnah. However, if a person goes and the family of the deceased are anticipating and wanting to hear something, and this is not been planned for, and this is not been invited to, others will say, we at 9 o'clock p.m. we have Sheikh so-and-so, he's going to give a lecture. No, this is not permissible. To join and to gather for the purpose of condolences is not part of the sunnah. As in the hadith of Jarir ibn Abdullah al-Bajali, may Allah be pleased with him, he says that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ used to consider gathering for condolences and preparation of the food for the attendees part of the wailing, of the niyaha, when you wail over a deceased. So this is not permissible. But if you go and give your condolences and you see that the family of the deceased are so broken and sad, and they want you to give them hope, they want you to talk, so you talk for 5-10 minutes, not planned for, this is permissible, insha'Allah. And Ahmad from Oman says, what's the ruling on cupping in Ramadan? And the answer is, cupping is an issue of dispute. The most authentic opinion that you should not do it, because the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, aftar al-hajim wal-mahjum, the one who makes cupping for others and the one who is having cupping done for him, they have broken their fast. So the scholars held on to this hadith and they said that it breaks the fast. Other scholars have other evidences that prove it does not break the fast, as in the hadith that the Prophet performed cupping himself while in the state of fasting. But the issue is a long issue of dispute, and alhamdulillah, as long as we have nighttime, we can do that when you are not fasting, just to be safe rather than sorry. Hashim from Saudi Arabia, he says that if I travel to a non-Muslim country and there isn't any Muslim who prays Eid, what to do? The answer is that you don't pray Eid. As long as there isn't any Muslims in the area and you don't have enough people with you, if you have only your wife and children, this is not sufficient. But if you have, for example, adult sons, 4 or 5 of them, and you go to an open area and you give them a sermon and you pray Eid, this is permissible, inshallah, and no problem. If not, then it is not mandatory. Ahmed from Saudi. Ahmed from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam. Turn down the volume of your TV set. I think we're going to put something at the bottom of the screen to indicate this.
Okay. Sheikh, I want to ask one question, that is, if I'm having 11 months baby, every time he vomits. Whenever I do the wudu and I'll come for praying, then immediately he will vomit. So I just want to know whether I have to wash that part or I have to do wudu again. I just want to know this.
Okay.
And one more question is, can I pay my zakah to my husband? He can use that zakah for wherever he wants. I just want to know this.
Is he the one going to use the zakah, or you're authorizing him to give it to the poor?
No, he's not using. He's going to give the other person to whom he wants.
Okay.
And another one, and I just want to know, in the time of Ramadan, we miss the ladies miss the fasting days, like 7 days, 5 days.
Okay.
So whether we will get the same reward in this month if we miss, or after Ramadan if we keep it, we will get same reward?
Did you ask this question on my website?
No, I did not ask. This
Okay.
is the first time I'm asking.
Okay. I will answer you, inshallah. Muhammad from Medina. Yeah, Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Ramadan Mubarak to you. Sir, I have 2 questions. My question is that will I get the same reward if I skip the fast? It is because I'm sick. And can I complete the fast after Ramadan? And my second question, which my younger brother was asking, is that what is the meaning of Muhammad Hidayat? Can you answer my question, please? Jazakallah.
It's the essence of Islam, Tawheed, believing in the oneness of Allah, the same message that Allah sent all His prophets with since the beginning of time.
La ilaha illallah. You need Tawheed, especially at the time of distress, at the time of need.
Tawheed first with Imam Kareem Abu Zayd in Ramadan only on Huda TV. Do your part, a slogan often heard but rarely implemented.
We need to make sure that we are from those people who are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase us in knowledge.
Doing our part for Islam needs both knowledge and action.
You don't have to be able to present the whole of Islam, but at least you have to make sure that what you tell the people is what you know.
Do your part with Muhammad Tim Humble in Ramadan only on Huda TV.
اللهم أهله علينا.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. I apologize for this technical error. Apparently the mic just went out of service. Alhamdulillah, now it's back again. Ahmed from Saudi, she says that she has an 11-month-old child and he keeps on vomiting. So does this affect her wudu? The answer is no. Does this affect her purity? Does she have to wash it? The answer is no. The vomit of a child and of an adult is something that's disliked, but it does not affect the purity and your prayer. And she says that when I have a zakat money and I give it to my husband and I tell him to give it to someone who is in need, is this permissible? The answer is yes, providing that you are sure that your husband would not give it to someone who does not qualify for zakah. If your husband gives it to his brother and who is well off, this is unacceptable and your zakat is not been paid. If you're sure that your husband will take it only to those who are poor and needy, the answer is okay and permissible. And she says, her question, like the question of Muhammad from Medina, I think, that if someone breaks the fasting of Ramadan due to a legitimate reason, and then makes up for these days later on, after a year or two or so, depending on how long the reason is staying for, does that person get the same reward of someone fasting in Ramadan? The answer is yes, because Allah is the one who exempted him. Allah is the one who told him to break his fast due to his illness or due to breastfeeding or due to pregnancy or due to any other reason. And once the reason is not there anymore, he should go back to square one and fast it, and he would get the same reward with the grace of Allah Azza wa Jal. Umar says, Sheikh, what is the ruling on a person kissing his wife, French kissing, while they are fasting? And this is permissible, providing that one ensures that none of the saliva, and this is almost impossible to ensure, goes into his stomach or her stomach. And therefore, one should avoid this during Ramadan, because it would lead to something that may affect your fasting, and it's not worth it. It's only few hours, and then you have the night to do any European or German or French stuff you would like to do. Do we have any callers, or should we conclude? Okay, I don't think we have any callers. Mirza has a question. He says, is this permissible to construct tombs over graves? If not, then why Prophet's tomb sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not demolished yet? And when I read this question, I felt that the shiver down my spine. How would any Muslim think of destroying the Prophet's grave, alayhi salatu wasalam? Anyone thinking of this is not a Muslim. And the question is usually repeatedly asked, not for knowing what is right or wrong, but unfortunately to justify the wrong shrines, the wrong tombs, the dargahs, and all these grave worshippers' actions. So they want to justify, why do we have tombs in An-Najaf, in Karbala, in Qum, where all these Shias have these places where they worship, literally worship those who have died in there, and they consider that to be a form of worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. And why do we have tombs over graves in Al-Hussein, for example, in Egypt, in Syria, and in Iraq? He is divided over 3 continents and countries, subhanallah. All of this is nonsense and fabrications. So they want to justify going there and sending petitions and writing papers, or At-Tijani or Jilani or my Badawi, do this and that for me, make my wife pregnant, pay off my debts, do this and that. So all of these are acts of shirk, of associating others with Allah Azza wa Jal, because no one can answer your calls except Allah, and calling the dead is a form of shirk, no doubt in that. So when they want to justify and legitimize their actions, they say, okay, look at the tomb of the Prophet ﷺ. First of all, the Prophet ﷺ, by the consensus of all Muslims, was not buried in the masjid. Everybody knows this, even the youngsters in the street. They would tell you, who have knowledge in the seerah, that the Prophet ﷺ was buried in the house of Aisha, which was outside of the masjid. 90 or 100 years later after his burial, one of the Umayyad Caliph expanded the masjid and he included the house of Aisha. And all the tabi'een stood firm against this, but he would not listen, as all rulers do. They do not listen to the scholars. They do not listen to the laymen. They do not listen to the people. So he included it. And the scholars found that they have a dilemma now. The grave is there and you cannot dig the Prophet ﷺ out. So they built the chamber to be as a triangle with the tip of the triangle pointing to those who are facing the Qibla. So you cannot be facing the chamber like this. You have to either face it like this or like that, and in this way you would not be facing the Qibla at the same time. And they had to protect it because there were a number of attempts to abuse the grave and vandalize it. And people were trying to dig tunnels under the masjid in order to reach the chamber and vandalize the Prophet's grave ﷺ and his companions Abu Bakr and Umar. And this was the only way to protect it, is by building this chamber and by putting steel foundations real deep down in the earth so that no one could reach it. So there is no comparison, none whatsoever, Brother Mirza. And I hope this answers your question. And this brings us to the end of our episode. Same time, an hour from now, inshallah, tomorrow is my meeting with you. And until then, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance.